Hello, welcome back to my channel.
Shake your dreads! Malli,
Okay.
shake your dreads!
Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be discussing the 2025 film Sinners as suggested by these lovely subscribers here. And don't be alarmed by the title. I've explained it before and I'll explain it this last time. We get pissed at movies in a hypothetical sense. And sometimes in a literal sense, but that doesn't apply here. So starting off, it is 1932. We are in Clarksdale, Mississippi, and we meet one of our main characters, Sammy, aka Preacher Boy. Sammy is a young man who works on a plantation but has a passion for music, specifically the blues. Sammy's father is a pastor, thus the nickname Preacher Boy, and his father believes that if he isn't using music for God or for religion, then it's evil. Sammy's father has asked him to help with service that following morning. Sammy assures his father that he'll be back in time to help him with service Sunday morning, but that night, he plans on performing at the grand opening of his cousin's juke joint. Who are his cousins, you may ask? It's the Smokestack twins. I'm kidding. So we have Smoke and Stack, who are veterans turned unsanctioned businessmen. Although physically Smoke and Stack are identical, their personalities differ from each other. We have Smoke, who is stoic and more serious, like we rarely see him smile throughout the movie. And on the other end, we have Stack, who is more lighthearted and easygoing compared to his brother. And we see him smile significantly more than we do Smoke. And the brothers have returned from Mississippi from Chicago, and they've been gone for like 7 years. When we meet Smoke and Stack, they're meeting up with a man by the name of Hogwood to purchase a sawmill. Off the bat, Hogwood is sus as fuck. The situation looks a little suspicious, but nonetheless, the twins purchase the sawmill, and they caution Hogwood that if they see anybody from the clan on their property, they're gonna handle business. So Smoke and Stack are planning to turn the sawmill into a juke joint, a club if you will. Just as the twins arrive to the plantation to pick up Preacher Boy's father is cautioning him that if he continues to dance with the devil, then the devil's gonna follow him home, basically fear-mongering him into not playing music for his own joy. Despite his father's warning, Preacher Boy goes with the twins to set up for the juke joint, and they quickly establish that in order to be able to open that night, the twins will need to split up, divide and conquer. Smoke goes into town, and we quickly find out that the twins have a particular reputation. Feared, respected, it depends on who you ask. Smoke pulls up to what seems to be like a little shopping center, and he sees a young girl, and when he drops his name, the girl looks scared as fuck. So I can only assume the rumors are wild as shit. But the young girl relaxes when she realizes that Smoke is asking to pay her to watch his truck. He instructs her to honk the horn if she sees anybody messing with the truck or trying to steal from the truck. And I'm doing this scene no justice. It's actually really wholesome. Aww. Smoke is gone less than a minute and she's honking the horn. Smoke sees 2 men peeping in his truck, shoots one in the ass and the other in the knee. And he didn't even need to shoot the other guy in the knee. He did it solely to maintain his reputation. He said, I can't have anybody thinking that you got away with trying to steal my shit. And that's just to give you an idea of why some people are scared of the Smokestack twins. It's like Smoke did that ruthless ass shit, but then made arrangements for the 2 men to get medical help. So Smoke goes back into one of the shops and we meet Bo Chow. And Bo greets Smoke, not with fear, but as a friend. Bo's family consists of himself, his wife Grace, and their daughter Lisa. The Chows own 2 grocery stores, literally across the street from each other. One is to cater to white patrons and the other is to cater to black patrons because segregation. Smoke is basically there to purchase food and to ask Grace, Bo's wife, to make a couple signs for their grand opening. And when Grace sees that Smoke is in their shop, she doesn't greet him as fondly as Bo does, but she's much more transactional and businesslike with him. Cut to Stack and Preacher Boy after Stack explains to Preacher Boy how to properly dine on the punani. And talking about Stack's car, Preacher Boy asked about Smoke and Stack's father. Stack explains that their father was very abusive, specifically to Stack. Stack explains that one day his father beat him unconscious, and by the time he woke up, Smoke was already halfway done burying their father's body because Smoke murdered him. Stack and Preacher Boy arrive to their destination, which appears to be a train station. They're there to recruit Delta Slim, another blues musician, to perform at the grand opening of the juke joint. Slim is hesitant, but once Stack offers him Irish beer that he got from Chicago, he agrees to perform. Delta and Sammy are playing some music at the train station, and Stack uses that as an opportunity to get the word out about their juke joint and is encouraging everybody to come and drink and enjoy the music. Once they're done with their little sneak peek, Preacher Boy notices and approaches a woman that we'll come to know as Perline. Their conversation is a little flirty, but we do find out that Perline is very much married, but that doesn't stop Preacher Boy from encouraging her to go to the juke joint that night. Perline walks away, But she doesn't really walk away. She sachets away. She puts a little razzle dazzle on her walk off. And as Preacher Boy is oogling Perline's goodies as she walks away, he notices another woman staring very intently at Stack. As Preacher Boy is trying to warn Stack, the woman has already walked up. We find out that this woman, Mary, is a previous lover of Stack's. And she's not happy to see him. Apparently, they hooked up. He told her he loved her and then dipped. And Stack is being very discouraging towards Mary. He's like, yeah, I told you I love you, but I also told you to leave me alone. And then Mary says, I heard you, but then you stuck your tongue in my me so hard, I thought you changed your mind. I was like, okay then, girl. And if you haven't seen the movie, please see the movie. Every other conversation with Mary is fucking hilarious. And I think it's because, like, not to break the fourth wall, that she's played by Haley Steinfeld. And this is how I met Haley, okay? The Edge of 17, that is correct. We find out that Mary is back in Mississippi because her mother's funeral was the day before. Stack is giving very much, I'm gonna be mean to you because I want to protect you. And Mary walks away. So Stack is driving Sammy and Slim to their next destination. They're driving past a cotton field where they see prisoners outside working. And we find out that Slim knew the men on the side of the road. And Slim tells a very disheartening story about him and his friend Rice, who was also a musician. We won't go too deep into the story, but it does speak to the reality of racism during that time. Ultimately, Slim and Rice earned a bunch of money performing for rich white people. And Rice emptied out his bank account so he could move to Little Rock to open a church. And when he went to the train station, he was essentially murdered. And that is most certainly the watered down version. So the three have one more stop before they get to the juke joint, and they're stopping to get a man by the name of Cornbread to work security that night. Smoke is visiting with an old lover, Annie, and we find out that Smoke and Annie lost their baby some time ago. So Smoke is basically filling her in, and he's saying that he bought a sawmill and he's gonna open up a juke joint. Annie is looking at him sideways because being able to afford a sawmill.
Get money. He got money.
Annie questions Smoke and is like, who did y'all rob in Chicago where y'all can afford a sawmill? And then Smoke gives her a non-answer. We find out that Annie is a conjure woman and she has a little shop where she sells herbs and remedies to the black plantation workers nearby. Smoke sees that Annie is getting paid in plantation money, which is basically like Monopoly money. It's only useful in the game Monopoly. Smoke offers Annie real money, but she declines, and she says that she doesn't want any of his cursed money. Smoke tells Annie that he's been all around the world and that he has seen men die. He's never seen demons or ghosts, and that he's only seen power. And power comes from money. Annie is like, you've seen war, but here you are standing in front of me. You have 2 eyes, 2 legs. Why did I almost say 2 mouths? Basically, you're in good health, and you're in good health because I've been working my magic, my roots, every single day since you've been gone for you and your brother. And he's been gone for 7 years. And she said every day she does this. So then Annie asks Smoke for his mojo bag. He rips his shirt open, not that aggressively. He opens his shirt and he's wearing it. Annie takes his mojo bag and she's replenishing it. And I'm assuming the mojo bag is for his protection. And as Annie is replenishing the bag, she's like, why are you here? And Smoke is like, oh, we want you to cook for us. And she's like, no, why are you here for real? And he was like, cause I miss you and I love you. And I said, girl, get over there and show him how much you miss him and how much you love him too. And then she does. The sun is setting. Everyone is on their way to the function. They're all ready to get down, get jiggy at the juke joint. And off yonder, we meet Remick. So Remick appears to be burning in the sun. And we all know who the fuck be burning in the sun. It's vampires. And Remick is desperate. He's outside a couple's home. We'll come to know this couple as Bert and Joan. Remick is telling Bert and Joan that the Choctaw attacked him, looking to go inside their home. Bert and Joan are kind of staring at him. Remick looks inside their home and sees an attire of the clan variety and starts speaking their language. He said, let me throw some slurs out. Let me offer them some gold. And they accept him in. So here come the Choctaw. One of the men knocks on the door and Joan answers. The man is telling her, hey, there's a dangerous man in the area that we're trying to catch. Have you seen him? Immediately, I would have been like, I think he's inside. I think we let him in. But no, Joan is like, no, nobody here. And then the man tells her, if you let him in, like, we still have time. We can act right now. We got to act now. He's not what he appears to be. And then one of the gentlemen from the back sees that the sun is setting and he was like, hey man, we got to get the fuck out of here. The man gives a little prayer to Joan and then dips. And I know that's right. I would have left immediately. I'm like, I don't have time to sit here. I don't have time to sit here and try to convince you to save yourself. Joan goes upstairs. Remick is covered in blood. Bert is laid on the ground. And she's like, oh, fuck. What is going on? Bert gets up. He's smiling. Remick's eyes are glowing red, which in my experience is never a good sign. I've never experienced glowing red eyes in the dark, but I can only assume that that isn't a good sign. So now we're at the juke joint. People are arriving, and at the bar, they're serving Italian wine and Irish beer. Keep that in mind. Annie and Stack are at the bar, and a man is asking for a drink. He's asking to pay partially in plantation money. Smoke sees this and is like, what the fuck? But luckily, Stack and Annie serve the man anyways. Smoke pulls Stack and Annie to the side and is basically saying that they can't afford to be doing that they're not a charity, that they need to be making money. And Stack is saying that, you know, they've been working hard in the field all day. They should be able to go somewhere for them to be able to turn up, get loose, get a drink. Perline arrives with her married ass, and Preacher Boy jumps on that. Perline is shocked when she finds out that Preacher Boy is biologically related to the twins, and she's like, oh my god, you're such a nice young man. And then Preacher Boy is like, I ain't always nice. Hold on, I can do it. I ain't always nice, and I ain't that young neither. I said, ooh, And just as Preacher Boy confirms that Perline's husband is not there that night, he sees Mary get in, which Mary had a hard time getting in because Cornbread thought she was a random white woman, but it was a white woman that they know, so he invited her in. So Preacher Boy sees Mary and tries to stop her, and he's like, hey, like, we met at the train station, I'm with the twins. And she said, boy, if you don't get the fuck out of my face. I said, damn. But then Mary softens when she realizes that it's Preacher Boy. She fondly refers to him as Little Sammy and offers to buy him a drink. Mary seems to be cool with everybody, it seems. Like, she knew Cornbread knew her, they knew her mother, you know, she seems to be in the mix, in the know. Preacher Boy is sitting with Mary at the bar, and he is basically saying that there's some racial ambiguity going on, and he has questions about it. And Mary explains that her mother's father was half black, and Mary's grandfather raised her mother to protect her from being killed by the Klan. Then we find out that Mary's mother delivered the twins. And I was like, fuck, they go way the fuck back. Not only that, Mary's mother took care of the twins when their mother passed away, which it seems that the twins' mother passed during childbirth or sometime shortly after. Stack is trying to kick Mary out, and we find out that Mary is currently married to a rich white man. He's explaining to Stack that she never wanted that she wanted to be with him. Stack's main concern is that it wouldn't be safe for her if they were to be together. He confesses that he loves her, but that it would never work. Preacher Boy is performing on stage. Perline is swooning, and this is by far my favorite scene of the entire movie. We're reminded of the narration that we get in the beginning of the movie. There are legends of people born with the gift of making music so true it can pierce the veil between life and death, conjuring spirits from the past and the future. This gift can bring healing to their communities, but it also attracts evil. And that's exactly what we see during the scene. We see dancing, we see instruments from the past, present, and future relative to the movie's time period. We even see Bo and Grace's Chinese culture being represented, and it's just a beautiful ass scene. I don't know any other way to put it. And I feel like this scene is really special to me because I feel like it speaks to anybody who exists in a society that's distant from their traditional heritage. So everyone is vibing, having a really good time, probably the best night of their lives. And then here comes Remick and his new gang, consisting of him, Bert, and Joan. And they're there to kill the vibes. Literally. So Preacher Boy is chowing down on Perline. I know that Perline is married, but good on her, because finding a eater in this economy, huh. Smoke pulls Stack for a sidebar to have a discussion about their finances, and it is not looking good. They're not going to be able to stay open for very long. So at the front of the juke joint, Cornbread is approached by Remick and his new gang, and they're trying to get invited in. And Cornbread is like, no, the fuck? And at this point, a few of our main characters have gathered by the door because they're like, oh shit. There's white people here. What does this mean for us? Smoke is concerned and just flat out asks if they're with the Klan. And Remick looks like genuinely offended. And he's like, no, I'm all about fellowship, love, and equality. He was like, we're here to spend money, play some music, enjoy some music, and have a good time. And so now Remick and the Sunshine Band are playing their variation of Pickport Robbie Clean. In the context of them singing it, sounds vampire-esque as shit. They get sent away, and Stack is talking to Smoke, and it's like, hey, maybe we should invite them in if they're here to spend money. We all know they have real money because they're not working on the plantation, meaning they're not getting paid and plantation monopoly money. And Smoke is against allowing them inside because he's worried things will turn left. He's like, somebody could step on their shoe and it gets turned up in here. Somebody could look at somebody's woman wrong and it get turned up in here. So Stack and Mary are talking, and Mary, like Annie, has figured out that Smoke and Stack were up to some suspicious ass shit in Chicago. She pieces together that they stole wine from the Italians, beer from the Irish, pinned the two against each other, and then ran back to Mississippi. Mary tells Stack, let me go check on Remick and the Sunshine Band, see if they're cool, and then we can invite them in and get some real money. Her intentions were good, okay? So Stack straps her with a strap, and she goes outside to see what the vibes are, to see if they're on the up and up. Because I guess she figured that if they were like on some, you know, racist ass bullshit, that they would be more open speaking with her than they would obviously somebody who's black. Mary goes outside. Remick, Bert, and Joan are singing a little tune. Mary asks if they have money. Remick offers to show her the money and hands her like some ancient looking gold coins. And Remick tells Mary, he's like, you can keep that, but that's not gonna do you any good. He said, I can tell you're in deep pain. Mary's like, oh shit, I think I found a psychic, because her mother recently passed. And Remick is like, I wish I would have met her sooner. I could have saved her from her fate, but I can save you. And then Mary's like, back the fuck up. I don't need any saving. And then Remick starts drooling, and his eyes are doing that creepy red glow thing again. So Mary pulls out her strap and then walks away. And when she walks away, I was like a little frustrated because she put her back to them and she doesn't see it, but we see that Remick is levitating. Now we have Vampire Mary. Mary is at the front with Cornbread and is essentially asking to be invited in. And he's like, yeah, of course, like you were just in here, no big deal. Perlene is on stage putting on the performance of a lifetime, the type of performance that you put on after being eaten alive. Cornbread asks Slim if he can guard the door while he goes to the restroom. And when I tell you, Cornbread walked so fucking far from the juke joint, 11 miles away from the damn juke joint. And I feel like that is some large man shit to do. That's some shit you do when you're always and consistently the largest man in the room or the largest man in the situation. Could not have been me. Anytime me and the girly pops go out, we're running in pairs to the restroom. We're running in packs. There's no individual going to the restroom. But I guess if you're a large man, you know, who's gonna fuck with you? I'll tell you who. Remick. Remick gets Cornbread. Back inside the juke joint, Mary is in there. She finds Stack, gives him the gold, and then kisses him. Stack is taken aback and tells Mary, like, you know, you're married. I'm not comfortable with that. Mary is like, you rob banks and trains, but you can't steal this for one night. Obviously, he locked in because that is spicy talk. So they go to the back room to hook up. And I won't show it, but Mary is drooling. And it's like the drool that the vampires were drooling in this movie didn't even look like normal drool. It looked like thick syrup. It just looked fucking gross. Stack is like, hey, you're drooling. Mary is like, you want some? He leans back, mouth open like a baby bird, and she pours into him. So while that's happening, Smoke is dealing with a conflict between some patrons, and he asks Preacher Boy to get Stack. Preacher Boy is looking for Stack, and Slim is like, oh, he's in that room, like, go ahead and go in that room. Mind you, Slim knows what's happening in that room. So Preacher Boy opens the door and sees Mary straddling Stack, and he's like, oh shit, closes the door. Slim starts laughing because that's fucking funny. Preacher Boy goes to Smoke and tells him, like, I'm not about to go and disrupt that, you can go in there. They both go back into the room, like it happened so quickly. Mary bit the fuck out of Stack. So Smoke, gratatataz, he starts shooting up Mary. Mary gets up and runs out like it's nothing. And she's like, we are gonna kill every last one of you. And then she runs out of there. Stack dies in Smoke's arms. The last words he says to Smoke is, I love you. Hearing the gunshot, Slim walks in, sees what happens. Now everybody has crowded the back room where the gunshots were. And my thing is like, if y'all are hearing gunshots, y'all are going and discovering? Y'all are going and investigating? I was like, these are the 1930s, you know, wild times. So maybe, but I would have been outside already. But nonetheless, Slim kicks everybody out. Majority of the bar leaves. There's very few people left in the bar. Inside the back room with Stack is Annie, Sammy, and Smoke. You know, I think they're all just a little bit shocked because why the fuck would Mary do some shit like that? So Sammy's giving Annie the rundown. He's explaining what happened and is telling Annie how Mary said that her and whoever else is gonna kill everybody tonight. Even in her emotional state, Annie is thinking logically and tells Smoke that they need to move Stack's body outside. All the dead bodies outside and everybody alive needs to stay inside. And of course, Smoke is shook and he's in shock and he's devastated that he just lost his brother, his twin brother at that. Annie is explaining to him that he shot Mary multiple times and she ran out of there like nothing had happened. In the moment, she's convinced that they're dealing with haints. And we later find out that a haint replaces the soul of a man. Smoke is not wanting to move Stack's body, so Annie has them leave the room, locks the door, and gives the key to Preacher Boy. So cut to the Chows. Grace is telling Bo that they need to get the fuck out of there. And Bo is more concerned with Smoke, and he's like, he just lost his brother, like we should be here. But Grace tells Bo, like, no, we have a daughter, go get the car so we can leave. And Bo leaves to go get their car. And I understand both perspectives on this. Normally in a situation, if shit starts popping off, I'm popping back home. But that's typically in a situation where, like, let's say if I'm out with friends and shit's popping off because they're acting up, I'm leaving. I'm out that bitch. But if there's something or someone on the outside of our group causing problems for somebody in the group, then it's like, okay, I'm sticking around and we're gonna figure this shit out. I also don't have a child. I mean, I have Daphne. You know, I don't know if there's a situation where I'm like, I gotta get home to her. You know what I mean? She's taken care of. In hindsight, this pisses me off real bad. So Bo leaves, and a moment later, Cornbread walks up. And of course, everybody's like, where have you been? He's security, and there's shit that's popping off that should not be popping off when you have security. Smoke tells Cornbread that Stack has died, and Cornbread is acting really weird. He apologizes and says, let me in so I can help. Annie's like, hold up, why the fuck do you need an invite to get in here? Like, you've been coming in and out of here all day. Why now do you need an invite? Annie has clocked that there is something terribly wrong with Cornbread, and she flat out tells him, like, are you dead? My favorite part about this scene is that nobody is questioning Annie. They're all looking at Cornbread like, well, what the fuck's going on? And Cornbread is like playing it off, and he's like, well, I don't want to be impolite. We out here telling ghost stories in place of what we ought to be doing, being kind to one another. And Smoke is like, nah, I don't like this. It's weird. And Cornbread is asking for his money. And when I tell you, if I was Smoke, I would have started making it rain out the fucking door. It would have been Atlantic City right out the fucking door. Smoke goes to hand Cornbread the money. Cornbread grabs him, and quickly Smoke shoots him in the face, and Cornbread gets back up. A little different in the face, given that he was shot, but he still gets back up. Smoke is able to run back inside before Cornbread can get to him. They shut the door. Everybody's freaked the fuck out. And suddenly we hear knocking from the back room that Stack is in. And so we hear Stack, and Stack is like, let me out of here. And so everybody is like conflicted because they're like, he's alive? But then Annie's like, no, the fuck, he's not alive. I checked his pulse. That's not him. Annie runs off. Stack breaks down the door. Annie has a jar of pickled garlic, throws it at him. Stack starts steaming and then runs out. And then Annie's like, oh shit, these aren't haints, they're vampires. And I'm like, without Annie, where would we be? And then here goes Grace, and she's like, Bo's out there. We, as in W-E, correct, we gotta go get him. And I'm like, Grace, do not piss me off. The same people you were about to leave in a time of tragedy, you're now asking for help. In Grace's defense, it does seem like she's trying to leave the bar by herself, regardless if anybody is down to help her find Bo. Smoke, Annie, and Slim are telling her not to, and they're trying to explain to Grace that they're keeping her there to keep her safe. Annie says that they only have to wait until sunrise, and Grace like simmers down. She's like, okay, I'll wait. Annie is giving the group the rundown on vampires. She explains that the soul gets stuck in the body, that they can't be in sunlight, and she's telling them that they need to gather defenses, wooden stakes, silver, garlic, holy water. The Smoke is still trying to save Stack, and he's asking that if they killed the person that turned them, if they'll go back to normal. Annie explains that they're all connected, but they would have to kill them individually, one by one. Everybody is doing what they can to make weapons, and they're getting all geared up. And Annie is telling Smoke that if she gets bitten, to kill her before she gets turned. Suddenly, they notice that there is a body inside the bar, and they're trying to figure out if that was Mary or Stack's doing. And they're like, if this person has been bitten, they need to be outside. So Preacher Boy and Smoke move the body outside, and they hear music from afar. We see Remick, and we see everybody who has left the bar. They're all vampires now. They are truly fucked. Because before it was like, okay, maybe we have like this many vampires. Okay, but now we have like this many fucking vampires, and we're all screwed. And Remick is out there dancing and singing. He went from a Southern Belle to full on Luck of the Irish. He's singing about Dublin. He's doing what I would deem an Irish crip walk. Preacher Boy and Smoke go back inside, and now they have a new problem. There could be a vampire amongst them. So everybody left in the bar is now standing in a circle, and Annie tells them, we're all gonna eat a clove of garlic, just to rule out that there are no more vampires in this bar. And then fucking Perline is like, I don't like the taste of garlic. And the look that Annie gives her is the exact look that I made in the theater watching her say that shit. Because I'm like, Perline, be so for real right now. There are lives at stake. And you're over here talking about you don't like the taste. Annie is like, you don't have to like the taste. Like, we just need to rule everybody out. Nobody is getting a raw clove of garlic and is going, nom, 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 my favorite snack. It's like, lock in. So now it's Perline's turn to eat some garlic. And she's like, this is ridiculous. I would have been like, what's ridiculous is the ass beating you're gonna get if you don't eat the fucking garlic. And it's like, I could see if they were like, okay, we're all out of garlic. All we have are these garlic coated peanuts. And then Perline was like, oh fuck, I have a peanut allergy. I don't have my EpiPen. I don't think I can participate in this. That's one thing. You know, your fucking throat can close, but you just don't like the taste. And Smoke is just as pissed as me because he pulls out a gun and is like, you eat it or I'm gonna shoot you. And then here comes Preacher Boy trying to be Captain Saver Perline, and then Smoke pistol whips him. As he should, because this is a ridiculous conversation. Eat the fucking garlic. And it reminds me of that scene in The Faculty when they had to, I don't want to use the word snort, but that's what they had to do to rule out that they weren't an alien. And then the girl that was like, I'm allergic, I can't do it, was the fucking alien. And not even just an alien, she was the fucking alien. She was the main fucking one. So Perline doing this was like really triggering for me. But nonetheless, she eats the garlic and nothing happens. Like, she's fine. It's Slim's turn to eat some garlic. He eats a clove of garlic and it appears to be having a reaction. But then it's like, oh, sorry, it was just the alcohol. I would have been like, don't fucking play around. Literally, if somebody took a bite of garlic and they sneezed a little, I would be like, we gotta get them out of here. Everybody has eaten a piece of garlic. There's no vampire. And so now they're reflecting. They're like, was that guy alive? The guy was very much alive. He was just unconscious. So he's banging on the door trying to get inside. And Smoke goes to open the door, but it's too late. He gets attacked by Cornbread. And then here comes Bo. Bo is walking up and he's telling Grace like, hey, I got the car started, let's go. And Bo has zero sense of urgency. Cornbread is right there eating the fuck out of some guy. And Bo is just like, yeah, let's go. No big deal. And Grace is like, you see him eating that guy, right? And he's like, oh yeah, no big deal. He was like, you know, you can invite me in. And I'm like, oh fuck, he's a vampire. I feel like if Bo really wanted to get Grace, he would have like ran up to the door and be like, come on baby, we gotta get out of here. I'm sure she would have like ran into his arms, but he played it way too cool with seeing Cornbread. So then Remick walks over and he's like, literally just join us. They won't let you grow. They won't let you build. And I was like, he ain't lying with that fucking Monopoly money. And he's basically trying to get them to join his congregation of love and fellowship. And then he threatens to kill Grace's daughter, Lisa. And Remick is like, I know everything that Bo knows. Like, I share his memories now. And then in Chinese, Remick tells Grace that he even knows how she likes to be and that he won't bite too hard. I would have been like, oh my God. No, really though, that's frightening. And Remick is telling Sammy that he wants him for his music so he can see his people again. Remember, there are some people with music so true, they can conjure spirits from the past and future. And so Remick is like, I'm trying to see my people and I'm sensing some Irish tea here. And so Remick tells them like, if you give me Sammy, like I'll let y'all all live. I would have been like, but no, they're like, you can't have him, he's ours. And I would have been like, yeah. And truth be told, they were fucked either way. Everybody was going to be fucked either way. They weren't making any money. And Remick says that Hogwood, the man who sold the soul mill to Smoke and Stack, is the Grand Dragon of the KKK. And that he was planning on killing them anyways. And he says that he knows this because Bert is Hogwood's nephew. And let Jonah and Bert tell it. They're now peaceful. They've been unbigoted. Unbigified. And then you have Mary and Stack. They're refusing to leave without them because they want to be like a vampirist family. So they close the door and Grace is losing her shit, which I get it because that was a lot. He threatened her daughter. He said some graphic ass shit in her native language that was very personal, and it was just a lot. Like, I think emotions were high for everybody, you know? But Grace is freaking out because he threatened to kill Lisa. And Annie is assuring Grace that he only said that to get under her skin, and it worked. It really fucking worked. And Smoke is over here. He's shaking. He's very clearly in shock. Everybody is down to wait until morning except for Grace. Grace is like, we need to act right the fuck now. Like, we need to figure something out. We need to get moving. And here's the thing. Smoke is not being dismissive of how she feels or what she's saying. He's just saying, okay, Grace, like, slow down. Give me a minute. Like, I'm trying to think. You know, because that's a lot. He literally went from holding his brother in his arms as he died to now seeing him outside jucking and jiving with the vampire Irishman. Like, that's a lot to take in. That's a lot to process. And not only that, but it seems that Stack and Mary are adamant on turning everybody in the bar into vampires. So it's just it's a lot going on for everybody. And Grace is not having it. Grace is like, you shot 2 men for touching your truck today. Like, you're supposed to be a soldier. You're talking about 2 unarmed men compared to a plethora, a gaggle, a shit ton of vampires that are very difficult to kill. I understand what Grace is feeling. I feel like her feelings are valid, but that doesn't make what she's doing any less frustrating for me. Because I get it, girl. Like, he threatened your kid. I get the emotion. And when it comes to her daughter, Slim is trying to assure her they're not even leaving. All the vampires are like right outside the door. Like, I don't think that they're trying to go get Lisa. And so all the vampires are outside singing, walking close up to the juke joint. It's menacing. I don't like it. It sounds very creepy. Grace takes it upon herself to look out the window and sees Bo, and Bo very clearly sees her, and he's singing, and she loses her shit. Smoke and Annie try to stop her, but she yells and invites the vampires inside. There's no other word to use besides dumb. It was really dumb. Because one, y'all are very much outnumbered. They could have probably taken 1 or 2 of them. I think as a group, they could have collectively killed 2 of them. And that's only because it's so much more effort to kill a vampire. Like, they've been injuring them left to right, but they haven't killed a single one. Not only that, but she did it so abruptly. Like, they barely had any time to grab some weapons and prepare. Truth be told, I feel like if Grace wasn't so quick to leave when Stack got killed, they could have established with Bo inside the bar what was going on, and I guarantee you she probably wouldn't even have wanted to leave. She would have been like, oh, we have to wait until morning. I'm here with my husband, we'll wait until morning. Remick would have no leverage regarding Lisa, and they could have waited it out until morning. And Grace inviting the vampires in was frustrating enough, but what genuinely pisses me off, what really grinds my gears, is that when Remick walks in, Grace throws her little bottle bomb, her little Molotov cocktail, and it does 0 damage. Remick dodges it immediately. No damage done whatsoever. And I guess I wanted her to be on some Lara Croft. I wanted her to be on some Alice. Like, I wanted her to be active as soon as they came in. But no, she doesn't. And then somehow Grace catches on fire and she's on top of Bo, who is now on fire. And then she stakes him. And it's like, the thing with Grace, I feel like I would have understood if Remick made a deal with her specifically. Like, if he was like, hey, invite us in and I'll let you live. Then it's like, it's still fucked up, but I can get the logic behind it. I guess she was responding completely off of emotion, but it's like, great, now Lisa is an orphan, when all you have to do is wait until morning, or at least wait until the last minute to see, like, okay, they're actually actively leaving right now to go get my daughter. Like, I need to act quick, I need to do something, then sure. But you put yourself in a situation, and everybody else in a situation, where y'all were not gonna make it out of that. So the vampires are inside. There's vampires everywhere, and it's so much, like, there's too many to count. Annie gets bitten by Stack, and Smoke fulfills his promise and stakes her before she changes. And Mary is absolutely devastated because now her Tuck Everlasting fantasy is ruined. Slim sacrifices himself so Sammy, Perline, and Smoke can run upstairs. There's a door up there. As soon as they open the door, Remick is there. Remick bites Perline, and Stack is trying to bite Smoke. Perline and Smoke are telling Preacher Boy to run, so he runs out the door. Remick catches up with him immediately. Preacher Boy starts reciting the Lord's Prayer, and then Remick starts following along, and so do all the other vampires. And Remick tells Preacher Boy that long ago, the man who stole his father's land forced those words on him, the words being the Lord's Prayer. And I said, oh shit, this is that Irish tea I was talking about before, because Remick could very well be old enough to have experienced Ireland being invaded. And that's why he's so adamant on seeing his people. And it kind of reminded me of something Slim was telling to Preacher Boy. It was before they went on stage to perform, and he was explaining that religion was something that was forced on us being Black people, African Americans. Meanwhile, Stack and Smoke are tussling upstairs. I would have loved to have been there. I'm like, boys, no. Boys, stop. Smoke ends up getting the upper hand. He has a stake in hand, and he's telling Stack that he's sorry that he couldn't protect him. So Remick is doing a whole speech. He's like, we are one. I'm one with you. We're one with the planet. And then Preacher Boy smashes his guitar into Remick's head. And I guess there's like a silver piece in there because it is in his head and it is burning. There's steam coming from him. But this only slows Remick down. And as he goes to bite Preacher Boy, Smoke comes up from behind Remick and stakes him, successfully so. And then the sun comes up All the vampires burn. Remick especially burns. He does a little fire tornado. The sun is up. Smoke and Sammy are the last ones standing. Smoke tells Sammy to go home and to bury the guitar. And Sammy is saying that he can't because it's Charlie Patton's guitar. Smoke is confused because Smoke and Stack gifted the guitar to Sammy. And he's like, that was our father's guitar. Who told you it was Charlie Patton's guitar? And earlier in the movie, Stack had told Preacher Boy that's where they got the guitar. They won it off of Charlie Patton. And it makes sense why Stack told that little white lie to Sammy. The discussion of where the guitar came from was immediately after they were talking about Smoke and Stack's abusive father. So I think he was like trying not to freak him out and being like, yeah, it came from him. Smoke sends Sammy home and says that he has business to take care of. Smoke is trying to roll a cigarette, but he can't. And if you think about it, Stack was rolling his cigarettes the whole movie. His Stack is not there, so he can't roll his cigarette for him. Smoke removes his mojo bag, and in front of him, he has a trunk full of weapons and ammo. As Remick confirmed earlier in the movie, Hogwood has returned with a bunch of men there to kill whoever is in the sawmill. So from the woods, Smoke is just shooting them. Kills everybody with the exception of Hogwood, who's injured but not quite dead yet. And during his little gratatata montage, Smoke gets shot. I do believe this to have been a mission because he removed his mojo bag, which we seen was protecting him. So Smoke is bleeding out, he's dying, and he asks Hogwood for a cigarette, and as he's smoking his cigarette, he hears a baby crying, and he looks over and it's Annie and their child. Annie refers to Smoke as Elijah, which is his government name, and tells him to put his cigarette out so he doesn't get any smoke on the baby. Smoke being his nickname, and also the cigarette Smoke, I assume. Now Smoke is reaching for their baby. Hogwood starts bargaining for his life, and Smoke shoots and kills him, and then holds his baby. The Preacher Boy drives back to the plantation, and we see a variation of the beginning of the movie. Preacher Boy walks into the chapel, and he's looking rough and beat up, as you would imagine, you know, fighting vampires all night. And his father is telling him to put his sinful ways behind him and to put the guitar down. And in the beginning of the movie, the variation of this scene, as Sammy's father is speaking, he's seeing images or like flashbacks of Remick. And somebody made the connection, I can't remember who, that Preacher Boy was seeing Remick as his father spoke because they both wanted to use him for his music or control him. But Sammy's father is telling him to put down the guitar, and he can't, and he doesn't. Fast forward to Sammy years later. It's now October 1992 in Chicago, and he's a famous blues musician, and the name of his club is Perlene's. So we get this mid-credit scene, and Sammy is sitting by himself at the bar when the bouncer of the club tells him that there's two people that wanted to see him, and in walks Mary and Stack. I said, now wait a damn minute. And so Sammy is asking Stack, like, how are you still alive? Stack explains that Smoke couldn't kill him and made him promise to let Sammy live out his life. Really, that should have been the deal for everybody, but go off. Mary and Stack are there to hear Sammy play. He plays for them, and it's the same song that Sammy played as a young man to Stack when they were driving to the train station. So they hug, and just as Stack and Mary are walking out, Sammy stops them, and he's saying how he has nightmares every so often about that night. But before the sun went down, it was the best day of his life. And Stack agrees, and he says that the last time that he's seen the sun was the last time that he's seen his brother. And he said that for a few hours that they were free. When I tell you that tore me up in the movie theater, I feel like the conclusion of the movie feels bittersweet to me. My heart was so caught up in the relationship between Smoke and Stack. Realizing that they'll never be reunited again kind of fucked me up. But if you look at their journeys individually, it's very harmonious. You have Smoke, who was able to find peace and be reunited with his child and Annie. And then you have Stack, who was in love with Mary but couldn't be with her because of the racist ass time period they were in. And there was no way that they would have been able to live long enough to exist in a time period where they could be together safely. You know, they're in the 90s and shit now, where it's like they don't have to literally fear for their lives just because they love each other. I really love that Sammy continued with his music. Could not have been me, but for him to be able to even look at that day fondly at all, I think is really cool. Because for me, the negative would have absolutely overshadowed the positive for me. And I feel like that's very telling. And maybe I should look into therapy for that. I don't know. But like he said, I guess those few hours that they had where things were going really, really well. And I think even experiencing that moment was so powerful for him that he wanted to continue on with his music, because that was enough. Like, that was enough for him to be like, yes, I'm locked in. This is what what really irked me, like, for real, what pissed me off, is that Stack agreed to leave Sammy alone when really he could have done that for everybody before Annie got killed. Like, don't force your shit onto me. Like, relax. I'll see you at dinner when the sun goes down and it'll be fine. Like, I feel like they could have like had more time to process everything that's going on. But it was like that night they were like, okay, we have to do this now. Like, and we have to change all. With Remick, he was over here talking about some love and fellowship, knew what Hogwood had planned, and still didn't try to go and kill Hogwood before trying to kill everybody in the juke joint. I'm like, that could have solved some problems there. Really, Remick's whole approach was just too much, too fast. Like, what Remick needed was like a marketing team. If I were Remick, or if I was representing Remick, what I would have him do is befriend everybody first. Like, when Mary went outside to see if they were on the up and up, he should have played that shit cool as fuck, got the invite inside, vibed out, proved to everybody that he was all good and everything was all cool, and then gently reveal that he's a vampire. And not only that, not only would he be like, yes, I'm a vampire, he should have been like, yes, I'm a vampire, and I've already handled Hogwood for you and his whole clan, and now they're all a part of my fellowship of peace and love. They're vampires, yes, but emphasis on the love and fellowship. And then I'm sure he would have been invited back to the juke joint where he could enjoy Preacher Boy's music, and then let everybody decide if and when they want to become a vampire. Like, I know a lot of girlies who would be like, yeah, sign me up. And who knows, if he caught me on an off day, maybe. He could have been the face of vampires. They could have merged vampires into society as they did on True Blood. But in all seriousness, I really enjoyed the movie, and I'm really, really hoping Ryan Coogler does more horror films, because I felt like this one was so rich. The casting was so good, plot was good. I'm absolutely here for it. But yes, that's all that I have for you today. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. And I hope you don't accidentally invite a vampire into your home. Okay, bye!